ya tantas menos. La bronca me brota por fuera, la rabia me ahoga por dentro. No quiero quedarme callada, aunque el silencio insiste. Al patriarcado le convengo, temerosa y triste. Basta de matarnos, no somos objetos, no son propietarios de nuestros cuerpos. Nos creen inferiores, siento su desprecio. Piensan que pueden ponernos un precio. Nos tratan de putas, de brujas, de locas, nos violan. Nos echan la culpa, nos quieren hacer callar la boca.
Buenos días, la Sociedad de Estudiantes de Administración de la Hospitalidad, el Departamento de Estudios Empresariales y el Departamento de Psicología. Les damos la más cordial bienvenida al evento del día de hoy, recordando el 8M. Principalmente a las autoridades que nos acompañan el día de hoy, así como a los profesores, alumnos y asistentes. Dando un especial reconocimiento a Noeli Lilian Koskei, quien agradecemos infinitamente por acompañarnos el día de hoy y darnos esta plática. Igualmente queremos agradecer a la doctora Elsa Sánchez Corral Fernández y a la coordinadora de Yanira Chávez por su apoyo para poder realizar este evento. Cedo la palabra a la coordinadora de Administración de la Hospitalidad, de Yanira Chávez, para que nos dé unas breves palabras.
Muchas gracias, Débora. Buenos días, profesoras, profesores y estudiantes en este día tan especial donde se le reconoce a la mujer. Gracias por acompañarnos. Extiendo un agradecimiento a Débora Díaz, Diana Serrano, Pamela Anderson, Miranda Lazzarini, Valeria Cuevas, Axel Juárez, Laila Minassian y Jesús Almaguer, representantes de la Sociedad de Estudiantes de la Licenciatura en Administración de la Hospitalidad, por su entusiasmo para consolidar este evento. Gracias, profesora Elsa Sánchez Corral, por todo el apoyo que le brindó a Miranda Lazzarini para que esto fuera realidad. Doy la bienvenida a Noeli Lilian Koskei. Lili, it is an honor for us to come with your purpose, Girls' Human Rights. This is a big challenge, but everything starts with a thought that becomes an action. Thank you so much for inspiring the new generations that will follow your steps. Welcome to our university. Bienvenida a la Universidad Iberoamericana.
Muchas gracias por su mensaje. El día de hoy, Lili nos comparte su testimonio como mujer y activista en la lucha de los derechos de las mujeres y niñas en la situación de riesgo de mutilación genital femenina, que la OMS define como la extirpación total o parcial de los órganos genitales femeninos o cualquier lesión de los mismos por motivos no médicos. Para iniciar nuestra conferencia el día de hoy, cedo la palabra a Miranda Lazzarini.
As from now on, this conference will be held in English to show respect to our speaker, Lili. But before I yield the floor to her, I would like to present the semblance of her amazing trajectory as a woman and activist who fights for the rights of girls and women. Noeli Lilian Koskei graduated with second-class honors from the Mo University with a degree in communication and journalism in 2018. Becoming the first female journalist in her community, Pokot, in Kenya. During 2018, she directed an investigation project called The Role of Mass Media in the Attempt to Eradicate Female Genital Mutilation in Kolowa Ward, Baringo County. Ever since 2015, she has focused on volunteering to attempt the welfare of the most vulnerable communities of Kenya. She has participated as an enumerator and have been member of various foundations and associations such as the Red Cross Kenya, the PLO Lumumba Foundation Kenya, the World Vision Koloa ADP, and the World Food Program. She is also one of the founders of the community-based organization called Sauti Dada Africa, organization that advocates for the rights of girls and fights against the cultural practices of female genital mutilation, as well as child marriages. Sauti Dada Africa also provides sanitary towels to women and organizes seminars called Alternative Rite of Passage, where girls get circumcised by word rather than practicing FGM. Lili, we thank you infinitely for your presence and we'll be attendees that this conference will be held in English. I am also inviting and encouraging everyone to participate in the chat with any questions you may like to ask Lilian. In English, please. And at the end of the conference, there will be a Q&A session. I'm going to say this in Spanish. Por favor, si tienen una pregunta, pónganla en el chat. Y si pueden en inglés, por favor. Esto para fines de que pues no nos quedemos lost in translation, ya saben. Y pues bueno, it is now my pleasure to introduce you to Lilian Koskei. Lily, the spotlight is all yours.
Hello, everyone, and happy International Day 2021. It is my greatest pleasure today to address a group of people who are here to change the world to be a better place for women and everyone. I want to pass my sincere gratitude to the University of Iberoamericana for convening this important meeting today on the occasion that the world commemorates International Day of Women. This gives me an invaluable opportunity to reflect on who I am as a woman, what I have achieved over the years, but more importantly, to look with sincere urge on what remains to be done in creating a community free from all forms of violence directed at women and girls. On this very special occasion of International Women's Day, we are given periods, we are given time to reflect on the struggle for gender equality while celebrating the acts of courage, determination by ordinary women who have played extraordinary role in fighting for justice and proper treatment of women worldwide. So, to every woman, to every mother, to every daughter, to every sister, to a wife, to friends, today, from me, I wish you a happy International Women's Day 2021. We are choose to challenge. So, viva to great women, viva to a better generation. I am so delighted to share with you today on who I am and what I do and what I have planned for you for this day. And thank you very much, Miranda, for the nice introduction you said about me. I am very humbled. I am currently not at my usual home because of so many reasons, but it is such a wonderful moment that we are yet to share together and while we commemorate this day. I am 26 years old. I am single, and I come from a community called Pokot. The Pokot people occupy the northern part of Kenya, northern part of Kenya to the east, and we are one of the marginalized communities. We are very few. We are very indigenous. We still practice so many things which have not got here. There is very little education. There is very little civilization, little Christianity also. And still, our cultures are very, very strong. That is why we are called indigenous people. On the same issue about the Pokot culture, our traditional way of life, we cherish our culture and we strictly uphold it. We are very traditional. We wear our beads. We do some practices which are not good because we are conservative in nature. There are strict roles for women and men, which has been defined for everyone in the community to follow. We, the Pokot people, we are nomadic pastoralists. What I mean by saying nomadic pastoralist, we mean we move from one place to another with our cattle. We keep livestock, which are cows, goats, sheep, camels, and sometimes donkeys. So when the drought comes, we usually move from one point to another to make sure that our cattle survive. So we are nomadic in nature, and we are very few pastoralists in Kenya. Very few communities are pastoralist. The Pokot people are also very polygamous, very polygamous. A man is allowed to marry as many women as possible, as long as he can afford to pay dowry, which is very compulsory. When we talk about the issue of dowry, women have they have put some condition for a woman to get married. And for you to get married, this man has to bring cows and goats and camels to my parents. And my father is the only one who is allowed to take my dowry and my uncles, but not my mother. So that is one nature about the Pokot men. My grandfather has 7 wives. My father didn't marry officially, but he has children out of wedlock. So that is what the Pokot people are. And then in our culture, the cow is the life of our Pokot people, because the cow gives food. It is also a source of pride. When you have so many cows, people respect you, because it is pride and prestige, and it gives you a status in the community. That certain person has 1,000 cows is very rich. And traditionally, livestock only belong to men. A woman does not own any cow or goats or sheep, but the woman looks after the sheep and the goats, but she cannot own all these things. Our social life, men are divided into 3 groups: the boys, the men, and the elder men, who they have to do some ceremonies to move from one stage to another. The same men, they are allowed to discipline their wives by beating, caning, and sometimes, sadly, we have women who have lost their life because of beatings from men. This is particularly for punishment. This is why in my community, domestic violence is still very rampant, and sadly, very many women have died because of domestic violence. When we connect to the same thing about issues of men becoming the disciplinarian, maintaining order, the society is very patriarchal. Patriarchal system where women and girls are excluded from meaningful participation in decision making about themselves and on issues that affect them and the society. If the man says, this is what we do, this is how we are going to rule these women, we are not supposed to question them. And to my surprise, in as much as we champion for this right of women, my little brothers still control me. Maybe adding something that maybe I forgot, my family, we are 8 of us. I am the second born in a family of 8 children. So we are 4 boys and 4 girls. I am the first girl in my family, but I am the second born. So when it comes to issue of patriarchal structures, men alone decide for us, even in the family. The Pokot culture has some very positive practices, and there are also those which are not good. Traditionally, women in Pokot are only supposed to be seen, not to be heard. And we are strictly expected to obey instruction from men without questioning. Our tradition, like I said, we like wearing beads, which is a symbol of beauty. And each bead has different, for different girls and for women. Married women will wear a different one, and an unmarried Pokot girl will wear a different necklace. These beads also signify certain age group. The grandmothers will wear different beads from the one that my mother will wear. So all these things differ, but it is very clear that this one has to be done like this. So moving forward, I want to talk about some of the positive cultures that we have, because I always say the culture is good, but mostly there are some bad things that we need to avoid. So some of the positive practices that our Pokot people own, for example, is oath taking. The oath taking is like, because we don't have official court of justice, we always take oath. If someone is wrong, you will be punished, and you will take an oath of allegiance that you'll never do this. And the very oath will be followed strictly. If they say that this person will never do this, like if this person is a robber or a thief, when they do the oath taking, this person will stop doing it, because if he breaks the same rule, he's going to face the consequences, and he might even die, and the curses will go for generation. So to the children and to the children of the children. There are the other positive practice. Secondly is punishment, which to some extent, for offenses such as murder and homicide, assault, witchcraft, theft and robbery, unpaid theft and adultery, there is always a punishment to the culprit. So these somehow help to preserve the fabric of the society, so that we don't have people who are robbers, who are thieves, who are rapists, and those committing adultery. Another positive practice, which is considered very positive to us, is the male circumcision, which the community really respects, and it is expected of every male between the age of 12 to 15 to undergo the cut, so that they transition from childhood to manhood. This is one of the cultures that they value. There are wedding ceremonies which are done at night. These ceremonies bring people together, and it is always a very good moment. Although myself, because I am a human rights defender, I would never be happy if a ceremony is about a girl who is 10 years old getting married to a man who is 48. Although there are very good weddings which we go and celebrate, which is very positive, we don't have people who just get out of home and go stay with the boyfriend and lovers without official marriage. We still have to do marriage, which is really, really acknowledged. We have ceremonies for babies, for naming babies. We get special names for the babies. Like my name for the Pokot name is Chepchumba. I don't use it mostly, but Chepchumba means I was born in the hospital. So the names have different significance. If it's raining, you get a name for the baby. If there is no peace, maybe that babies born during this period are called special names. During droughts, during natural calamities, which are not good or good ones, during elections, babies born during that year, they are named Kura, which means voting. so that the parents can remember when the baby was born. So you get your name according to the event that was happening when you were born. There's something called SICOM, which means the community voluntarily help towards a needy person, like giving goats, cows, or helping construct a house for the poor. This is a very good practice because people just come together and do a contribution to help someone who is in need. Another ceremony that people upheld and it is also very positive is the religious ceremonies which are conducted ironically after successful raids, after good rain, during calamities such as drought, outbreak of diseases, so these are basically celebrations that are done to thank God. The Pokot people believe in the existence of a supreme being by the name Tororot. So when there's anything, we pray facing east, and prayers are conducted by only men in a very special way. So those are some of the positive things. And maybe some which I've not mentioned, but one thing maybe about the positive culture that we have is the community own the babies. Like women the age of my mother are all my mothers. And if I do something wrong as a child, anybody can punish me. It's questionable, but the child belongs to the society. When I have a party, like maybe during my wedding, I don't have to invite anybody. Everybody will come and celebrate because I belong to the community. One of the negative practices which I'm about to mention now are some of the things that we do as Pokot which we really need to abandon, because in one way or another, it has caused a lot of poverty, a lot of pain, a lot of death to us. So it is something which is not good. So the first one on top of the list is female genital mutilation. I will expound more on female genital mutilation on today in our topic extensively. Secondly, some of the bad practices, we have something called parpara, which is a ceremony for the first time mothers. They are supposed to walk naked. They remove everything when they are 2 weeks to delivery or 1 week to delivery. She goes to the father-in-law together with the husband, the father to the expected child, and then they conduct some they are appeasing the spirits. So they do very shameful things, and they even ask the woman to say the number of men she has slept with so that she can get the baby successfully. I have witnessed this and I don't like it myself because it is always devaluing the value of women. It belittles a woman, and a woman is smeared with cow dung and so many things which are not biologically applicable. Like she's supposed to sit on the fire, on the firestone with, she's naked. She's supposed to spit. She's supposed to get spit from all men who are there. Then she smears on her body so that she can deliver well. With so many other practices which are associated to parpara. Another one, it is wife battering. The third one, which is very bad. Men beating women, it's very bad. It is a bad and a negative practice. There are so better many ways of solving conflicts. There's the removal of the lower teeth. I am lucky I didn't got mine removed, but these teeth are removed as a sign of one, beauty, if you don't have your lower teeth, and then two, it's to show that you're ready for circumcision, because you removing your teeth without going to the hospital, but these teeth, they are very strong, so you hit them hard and remove these 2 teeth. It is not good. The pain and the loss of you, when you lose your 2 teeth, you are not doing justice to yourself. There is also one which is very rampant. That is what we do in Sauti Dada Africa, fighting child marriages. Child marriages is very rampant, extremely rampant, and it is very bad. One shocking factor that I should tell you today is I am 26 years old. My brother is 28 years old. But my mom is 43 years old. My mother is 43 years old. So she got married when she was a very young girl and she was in school, but they had to stop her education in primary. And she went to school by the good luck of missionaries who came from Mexico. By that time, they beaten the nuns and they took my mom forcibly and married her when she was around 15 or 16 years old. She was very young. So child marriages are practices that need to be stopped. Some bad culture again that we need to stop is called cutting sorim. Women are supposed, when they are young, before adolescent, we take the razor blade and then you cut your body, your stomach and part of your chest. So many cuts, so many of them, to prepare you for the pain that you are going to face during circumcision and also during childbirth. So those are rims, and you have to cut all the way here to your back. So many people have now, our women, our old women and our mothers, their stomach is very rough because of the sorims. They are called sorim, that they were cut when they were young. So one last bad practice, which has really cost our lives, is the raid or banditry. It is called banditry. Banditry is totally unacceptable. This is where a group of men who have illegal arms, the guns, go to the nearby community and steal their cows and goats, and sometimes even kill women and children and men. So you bring the cows and add to what you have. That is a very bad practice that has cost us. That is why we don't have peace right now. So these men need to be stopped, because by all means, they distort our peace, and then they bring the same cows they have stolen. They come and take it to the girl's home for dowry, and then they take the wife. Sometimes these cows don't survive. You have lost life. They have distorted our peace. We cannot live peacefully with our neighbors. And again, it has really destroyed our name. When you come to Kenya and you go to Pokot, the first thing people will tell you, don't you love yourself? You don't love your life, because we are known to be very hostile to our neighbors that we fight with for cows and goats and camels. So those are some of the major practices that need to stop, that are negative. And I hope we are all together until there.
Yes, we're here. We're listening to everything.
Thank you. Now, I have given a small history about my country, Kenya, and the Pokot people. And I want to tell you there are some changes that are happening in my community now. Or in the negative, I don't know why I forget this, but this is the first one. One of the negative practices that we need to stop is to deny girls their rights to go to school. Before the formal education, we used to have the informal education that they used to teach us. But at this point, the world is changing. It is important for girls to get their right to formal education. So this is what inspired me. I am next going to discuss the activities of my organization and what inspired me to get where I am. I am the first Pokot female journalist certified. It was not easy getting here. This was one of the toughest journeys that I ever took. Because to me, as a woman and as the firstborn child in a family, I was expected to get circumcised at the age of 12 or 13 and then married off to this man that I don't know, because there is no dating in Pokot. There's no saying this is my husband. If a man comes today and gives my dad 40 cows and another one comes and gives my father 80 cows, my father will give me out to the man who gave 80 cows, regardless of whether it's my boyfriend or no. So there is no dating. So when I turned 12, the sisters in my community, the nuns, they took me to a boarding school because I was at a very, very high risk of getting circumcised, which is not good at all. But personally, I really wanted to, because luckily my mother, because she worked with the nuns, she knew this was bad. But there was no way she could protect me, because my aunties and my grandmother used to force me that you must cut your body. I will discuss female genital mutilation extensively, but I want to just tell you how I ended up getting here and why I think this day is very special, because we celebrate women who have done extraordinary things in the ordinary world. So when I went to a boarding school, I couldn't go home for 2 years. And it was very painful, because that particular time, we were 7 in my class. Professor Elsa knows my school, and she met the girls. But the next year, when we were supposed to report back to school, I was the only girl who was not cut and married off. So when I was taken to a boarding school very far from my home, not in my community, I saw a different world. I saw women who are teachers. I saw women who could drive. I saw women who owns very big houses. And I really wanted to be like them. And when I came back, the nun told me, Lily, you have to make sure you study hard, because you can only reach here if you work hard and study. You make sure you pay attention to your studies. So that was the beginning of my step of changing. So fast forward, I finished high school. Luckily, it was not easy because my mom could not afford my fees. So most of the time I could not go to school. I was called to a very good school, but I could not go to that school because my mom could not afford money. My mom was just washing clothes for the nuns. So and then from that time now, I got here, I went to college, and now I met a bigger world of good things happening to women. And from that point is when I said, okay, fine. I will have to fight for the poor girl in my village, for the poor classmates who are now mothers to 4 kids or 5, miserably, living in poverty, no hope. Some are beaten all the time. My deskmate called Mercy, she has a broken hand. She lost 2 pregnancies. She's selling the illicit brews because she was married when she was young and she didn't make here. And it always pained me. Coincidentally, when I go to my home, she's always the first person I meet, and she cries when she sees me. So I said, I am going to start an organization which will majorly help fight for the rights of girls and women in a community that is entirely against empowerment of women. So I started in 2016. I did not register the group because it needed a lot of money. And when I was in college, I was struggling to pay my school fees. So I used to come home, work in the primary school, save some money. So I did not register the group. Going forward, I started now doing mentorship talks for girls. I used to go to schools and talk to girls, the few girls who were there. And these few girls would go and tell me the number of their sisters who are not in school, and then I could make some follow-up to make sure they come to school. In Pokot community, illiteracy level is at 94%. Very few people have learned. Very few women have even gone to school. I am among top 10 women, I think even 5 maybe, who have degrees because they don't take their girls to school. So the mentorship program is one of the major activities in Sauti Dada Africa. Sauti means the voice, and Dada is a girl or a sister. So we are the voice of the voiceless sisters in Pokot. So I registered the group in 2019, and I was so happy because even registering the same group was very hard. The office kept telling me, come tomorrow. They used to postpone, come tomorrow, come next month. Yet it was just something because I had all the documents and the members. The man could have registered it for one day, but the same man told me openly that why do you want to empower women? Because empowered women and girls are generally rude and they will not respect men. But the coincidence was also that I could not go register this group of girls, this organization somewhere else. It had to be my district. So I started the process in June, but finally got the organization registered in October. So that was the struggle for registering. One thing about our mentorship programs in Sauti Dada Africa, this is a task that it is like one-man soldier, one-man war, because very few people want to be associated to women who are empowered. So sometimes with the few women that I've been talking to in my village, we register this group. But themselves, when they come to meeting, they say, our husbands ask us what to go and speak in the meetings. So sometimes they will miss meetings. I was so sad when I learned that some were even beaten and denied the opportunity to come for our weekly meetings or even our mentorship program, because I used to go with the women to primary schools to talk with girls. But I never gave up. Some of them are now like good women who have really changed. And the condition for you to become a member of Sauti Dada Africa for the women was to at least make sure you take your girls to school, because there is no way we are going to ask other people to take their girls to school if we've not shown them by example. So this community, because it is very conservative, we have to use the simple communication development methods, talking to them slowly, not harassing or coercing them. And by this time, luckily, when I graduated and I came to my village with a gown, everybody was like, what is happening to Lily? And I tell you, when I go to talk to girls, some of them cry and say, we want the graduation gown. So it became a stepping stone for our organization. That was still in 2018. So I strongly believe that if girls can be confident enough to persuade their fathers to take them, not to force them to undergo the cut, this will mean that more girls will be increased in schools, the school enrollment, and there'll be reduction of dropout cases of girls due to teenage pregnancy and child marriages. So all these things we do this because this will stop this and this will stop this. And from the example that I've set in my village, girls who are now in secondary school, unless otherwise, some things like Corona came up, which caused a lot of pain because some girls ended up getting cut because they were home all the time. But at least a girl who has already gotten to secondary school will always know where to run to, will always know to speak out, and will rarely get circumcised. So in my community, if all our girls can get to that extent, that will mean a change of everything, change of lifestyle. An empowered woman can support herself both financially, and that means the community will flourish in one way or another. So besides teaching the girls on ways to escape FGM and child marriages, we usually spice up our lessons on overcoming challenges on adolescents. You all agree with me that physical and hormonal changes during adolescence lead girls to seek company of boys, and they end up getting pregnant and other contracting STIs. So we teach them to control their bodies and wait until they are done with their education. I always say this, my vision is to leave an indelible mark in a community where education is not considered a priority. That's my slogan. Like, at least the little that I do, there will be that special mark and legacy that will be left in a community that it is hard to convince. So, dear ladies and gentlemen, the topic I am about to share right now is about why we do the female genital mutilation campaign and why we strongly condemn it, because in all ways, it has caused it is the mother of all the gender-based violence facing women and girls in my community. Sorry. So, female genital mutilation. If possible, I'm going to share with Miranda, if allowed, some pictures of what we mean female genital mutilation, which is compulsory practice in Pokot community for girls. Yes, I am 26.
You can share the pictures.
Now or later?
No. Anytime you want.
Okay, thank you.
You are allowed. Yes.
Thank you. So, female genital mutilation, it's called FGM. The hood I am wearing is a campaign that we did. This means Kata Ukeketaji. This is Swahili, say no to FGM. It was supported by United Nations and the government of Kenya. So this is one of the campaigns that we do to make people learn, stop this practice. So when I founded Sauti Dada Africa, I realized that when girls are cut at the age of 12 or 14 and get married before they are 15, some problems that we experienced in my community generated from that. One, the poverty. They live in poverty. They are very young girls. They don't have education. They cannot be employed. They cannot explore their talents and their abilities. So poverty rises. Secondly, women live in denial because they were denied the chances to experience and explore and grow. Most of women who are cut, they end up losing their first babies. So maybe let me just say why female genital mutilation is very important in my community. At 26 years of age, my peers and the women in my community still think I am a baby because I did not undergo the cut. The cut is always a rite of passage that is carried out to show that girls have moved from childhood to womanhood or to adulthood. So These cuts, they don't cut just anywhere. They cut the private part of a woman in a very bad way. It is usually carried out once a girl reaches puberty. So that means around 12 to 14, some even 10 years old. So what are some of the myths according to this barbaric practice? There are some myths and misconceptions. This is what people believe that is associated to female genital mutilation. So the first one, it is the preservation of virginity. I was told that uncut woman, if you are not cut, a woman who is uncut will become promiscuous. I mean, she will sleep around with men and she will have uncontrollable sexual appetite. That is what we mean by promiscuous. So when we are very young, they tell us there's something in your body that you need to cut it out, or else you're going to be sleeping around with all men. So that is why they think female genital mutilation will preserve your virginity for women. Another myth, if they say if the clitoris is not cut, it will harm the husband during sexual intercourse. That the very part of a woman, I don't know if this is your culture, I am sorry, but when we teach about female genital mutilation, we end up saying all these terms. So please, you will forgive me if it is wrong to mention these body parts, but for today we have to mention, because we are not cutting the nose or the ears, we are cutting the private part of a woman. So the second myth is that if clitoris is not cut, it will harm the husband during sexual intercourse. I got no idea how that works. It is false. I tell girls this, that one is false. The third one, the clitoris will grow below the thighs. That our clitoris will keep growing if we don't cut it. And it will come to your thighs and you will not walk properly. I can't count the number of times they have been telling me this. So I am still waiting. Sorry, but it is not happening like they told me when I was young. So I was very scared, but it is not happening. Another myth that they say is that the clitoris will choke the baby during birth. That when you are giving birth and the head of the baby touches the clitoris, the baby will die. No science. I am not a scientist, but I don't know how this works. Another myth, which is the second last, is circumcision makes a woman clean. That if you cut that part of the body, because it will not grow again, it will make you very clean. Still, that is fallacious. It doesn't add up. The last one, which is why this time I am still being mocked very much, is that uncut girls can never conceive. They can never get babies. That is a total lie. So those are some of the myths. I'll share this presentation, and statistically, in the world right now, at least 200 million girls and women alive today who live in 31 countries in the world have undergone female genital mutilation. Now, what is really female genital mutilation? So according to WHO, World Health Organization, female genital mutilation comprises of all procedures involving the partial or total removal of the external female genitalia or other injury to the female genital organ for non-medical reasons. That you are not sick, that you've been cut, but anything that is done. It is a very harmful practice with no health benefit to women. Female genital mutilation has caused long-lasting physical, emotional, and psychological trauma, and in so many ways, some death because of bleeding. I want to be clear here. There are 3 types of There are 4 types of female genital mutilation. The first, it is called type 1 or clitoridectomy. This involves the partial or total removal of the clitoris, just a small, sensitive and erective part of the female genitals, just the tip. And it is not done in Pokot, that one. It is done by people, our neighbor, they are called Samburu. Secondly, it is called type 2. It is called excision. That one means now the all clitoris is removed from the part where the clitoris begins. They chop everything. So that is the type 2, which is called excision. And then we have the third type, which is called infibulation. Infibulation involves narrowing the vagina opening through the creation of a covering seal. And this means the labia majora, the lips of a woman, together with the inner lips and the clitoris is chopped off. And then they put the legs together, and then your body part seals such that you cannot have that, your body only have such a small opening. This is what the Pokot do to their girls. So when you are cut for three months, because the wounds are raw, they put your legs together, and then your body, all your body part closes until the anus, somewhere almost the anus. So the vagina is closed all the way down here. All this, they believe that if this is done to you, you become a complete woman. The fourth type, which is called type 4, it doesn't have a name, involve any other harmful procedures to the female genitalia for non-medical purposes. These include piercing. Some people pierce and then pull it. Some prick it. Some bring some poison, some chili powder, and pour there for like 1 week. All these things are classified as female genital mutilation. Some of the short-term complications that come with female genital mutilation is pain, shock, bleeding. There's the acute retention of urine. There's also risk of transmission of blood-borne diseases such as hepatitis B and HIV/AIDS. We have long-term, because the women who cut in Pokot community, they use the same knife. If there are 10 girls, the first girl up to the last girl, the same knife. They are not injected for anesthesia. No, you are supposed to face the woman and being cut, no gloves, no sterilization, nothing. So that is why we say sometimes there's big risk of being transmitted with blood-borne diseases. Another thing that is difficult, which is now long-term, there is difficulty in passing urine because the urethra is blocked. There is recurrent urinary tract infection for women, painful menstruation. There is also painful sexual intercourse. I tell you this, I talk to women and they are so happy when their husbands are not home, because I have seen this myself. The body cannot open. It is so small. So it is very painful to the women. And then there is high maternal and infant mortality rate. Most women lose their first babies because of the prolonged labor. The baby cannot come out and they end up losing so many firstborns. There's also the reverse discrimination. This means the unfair treatment of members who are not cut. I am so happy I can talk to you today so boldly and confidently to very special people. But when I go to my community, I have to ask for permission to speak before women who are even younger than me, but they are cut. Because to them, I am unclean and I am a child. So the reverse discrimination, when you go to the river, automatically, if I am alone, I can fetch water. But if there are other women who are cut, I should never dare to fetch water before them. That will be like belittling them. They have their degree, so I have to address them by their titles. So that is all about female genital mutilation. It is happening here, and situating this in the current context during COVID-19, the problem really, really escalated, and most girls ended up getting circumcised. I cannot give the best description of FGM, but having a mom who was cut, my good friends and my cousins who have lost their babies, some of my students, because I used to volunteer in a primary school, I have seen young girls who have died because of bleeding too much. The pain never leaves you. It is painful. When I do this campaign, I always know what I do and I need to stop. Because why I fight this, there is no relationship, seriously, between getting me cut and making me a woman. That is why in Sauti Dada, we introduce something called alternative rite of passage trainings, which means we talk to girls, we teach them all these things, sexual reproductive health, all the topics, and they come out, they graduate after 1 week, and they are brave women and knowledgeable. Because being a woman, you are complete by nature, because whatever lies between our two legs should never determine how we are treated. So that is all about female genital mutilation. In Sauti Dada Africa, myself, there are some things that we take pride in that I am so happy that I managed to do. This is to rescue a number of girls from female genital mutilation, because it is a communal practice. You get information they want to do, so you go to that village and steal those girls and take them somewhere. So I have rescued a number of girls, almost 50, around 48, those who stayed at my home since over a period of time. And that is a very big clap, because all these girls would have ended up there. It is not easy. Sometime this happened once in 2019. They wanted to shoot me live, because if girls are not cut, men will not marry them. So most of these men want girls to get cut so that they can find their wives. Another pride that I take in Sauti Dada Africa is all the rescued girls, we've taken them to school. And in the near future, we'll have a group of professors, doctors, teachers, lawyers, journalists, human rights defenders, public relation officers who are at one point at a risk of losing their future. I have trained more than 2,000 girls in alternative rite of passage trainings. This happens over the holiday, but it didn't happen last year due to Corona. We just did one. I trained 110 girls. Yeah, 110 last year in December, but we couldn't do between April and August because of COVID-19. These girls will become the light of our community, and the world, a time will come when they will shine and prosper like any other girls. Another thing is, I realized when we started the campaign, we used to involve only women. But guess what? The men are the great consumers of female genital mutilation. But convincing them was very, very hard. Totally hard. But now I know of very few but determined and dedicated men who are helping us in the campaign, because if men say we are not going to marry women who are cut, no girl will go for the cut. So that is a really big plus to us. And I take great joy in by doing that. But still we need to mobilize more men. In the words of the late Kofi Annan, he said there is no tool for development more effective than empowerment of women. That there is no tool for development more effective than the empowerment of women. In my community, I sit down with women, whether they are 5, 10, or 14. The biggest number that I ever trained of women was 27. And these women, we are starting something called, okay, this is a plan because we don't have funds right now, but the women are doing honey business. They buy honey because we have the best honey. So the honey, when they sell the honey, they get some money. And when they get they get the money, they use the same money to take their kids to school, to take their daughters to hospital when they are sick. And still they can help feed the family so that the man doesn't have to be beating them. In my community, the women construct the houses, the women feed the family. The work of the man is to make you get babies and to look after and to own the cows. So when women have that economic empowerment, it will be very helpful because it will help them. Sorry, it will make them powerful and have a voice, which is the dream goal of our organization. We have a lot of plans for doing this. I have some in place. We're starting with the small honey business, just locally processed. And then next, maybe we get a honey plant. And then now we can sell honey all over the world. The same women also have led by an example. So their daughters are in school and they live in different life because at least their daughters can convince them not to go through what they went through. I have represented my organization in so many forums, national forums. Sometimes I go to forums and I say, when I introduce myself that I'm a Pokot woman, the first thing people ask me is, do you have guns in your pocket? When I went to airports just 2 weeks, 2 weeks ago, no, 3 weeks ago, they looked at my passport. They say, oh, you come from East Pokot. Where are you going? And I was like, excuse me, serve me like any other person. So when I go for these forums, they have really opened up to my mind, and I've represented my group. And I sit in the board in the county steering committee, gender steering committee. In my county, because we are the marginalized, nothing always comes to Pokot. But when I go to these meetings, I say, no way, we are only going to initiate this project if it can go to Pokot as well, because there's no way we can be segregated just because we are Pokot. We are good people and we need this development. So maybe if I never went to school, nobody would ever sat on those committees to help fight for this work. I have also, this is such a great opportunity that I am addressing international students from Mexico. To me, the plight of our girls have been heard across the world. And that means more good things in ways I learn from you and you learn from me. And the same knowledge is taken to our girls. Because when fighting for the right of human rights, when fighting for the right of women, it is a collective responsibility. Lily cannot do it alone. You cannot do it alone. But on this platform, we create synergies so that we can build a strong network so we can advance our rights together. I talked to the lady who really helped me very much. And I like what she told me. In a world where women are no more and no more waiting to be invited to the table, but we take the rightful place at the table. We break all the glass ceilings and we push the button to the next woman. I go to meetings and I speak, and people keep asking, a woman cannot speak to us like that. And I say, next time I come to this same meeting, I will come with another woman so that we raise our voices. And this time round, the county commissioner, if Lily is not in the meeting, it's sometimes good because we help create and advance our agendas in bringing to an end gender-based violences. Women, I challenge you today. You don't wait for the opportunity. Grab them. In my community, men will never give you the mantle. Like Lily, we give you this. But what I'm advocating for, women, when we have any committee meeting in the community, go there. Your work is not to pray during meetings, that you open us with a word of prayer from Lily, close us with a word of prayer from Lily. But when they are making the minutes and all the decision makings and all the committee members, women just sit there. And mostly we are always given the secretarial job because I write very mostly. I say these days I can't write, just they'll say, give that woman, Lily's here, give that woman to write. I said, no, I am not writing because I'm a woman. I am writing because it is important and because we need this and because I can. So when we go to meetings, and sometimes, like I say, women, we have to be strong. Define your territories. Fight. Because in my community, for instance, I don't know about Mexico. I will learn more about Mexicans. We know this, the position of a woman. It is very low down there. Nobody values you. But now we are standing up with our heads high, our shoulders ready to face this gender inequality so that we fight for a community which is right and just. Every time I talk, people ask me, Lily, where do you leave the boy child? I say, we are sorry, because for decades, not even decades, for many years, nobody has fought for our rights. Why do you think it is? We should not. Why do you think it's a threat for women to be empowered? And one thing, because I have brothers, very, very good brothers, good sometimes, but sometimes they can beat me if I disagree with them, which is wrong, I know. But the boys have to join us. We have to support each other. We'll be so happy when men also support our cause. We are not in a competition, but we say in a community, in a committee of 7 people, let us have the gender equality, because we also matter. I am a human rights defender, and I have lived in the pains of these inequalities. I'll tell you one thing, and I've never forgotten this. I have seen my father beating my mom when she's heavily pregnant, since when I was a very young girl. Even when my mom has not served my dad food. My mom almost lost the pregnancy when she was in 2006, because my dad came back home. My mom was sick the whole day. We didn't have any food. My dad comes back home, finds my mom sleeping, and he hit my mom with a timber. And my mom got very, very sick. This is what all women go through, which is very, very unfair. Let us treat each other with dignity. Let us treat each other with respect. Because at the end of the day, we all count. We all matter. So maybe I will take a break. I'll take maybe some questions before maybe I proceed to the situation of women in Kenya. Please, Miranda, if we can get a break, like I get questions from our participants.
Yes, anybody who has a question is allowed to post it in the chat. Si tienen una duda, por favor pregúntenla en el chat. Si quisieran preguntarle algo a Lili, ahorita podría ser el momento.
Yeah, me. I have not really a question. I think you've explained everything really good, and I just wanted to really thank you for everything you're sharing right now, because it's incredible. I didn't know like the situation, and it's really incredible hearing it from you. And I want to thank you very much for opening up to us, and I think you are a totally role model, and thank you very much.
Oh, thank you too. Thank you so much. You inspire me a lot.
Okay, we have two questions. From Goretti. What advice would you give us to be more intersectional with our feminism? I admire you deeply.
What do we do to?
What advice would you give us to be more intersectional with our feminism? To be more intersectional, meaning like more with diverse indigenous people, diverse races.
Yeah, so in our communities, there are people, we have the special group of people. I understand like the indigenous women, we have the section of, in some communities, we have the section of LGBTI. I am a human rights defender, so I read about this. Those are a special group of people. We have the minority, the disabled women and men. So one thing about how to become more intersectional is to create awareness. When we create awareness on these inequalities, gender inequalities, we empower this special group of people, or feminists, to raise their voice and to start conversations on the issues that we are going through, or the intersectional people are going through. Another important thing is also to educate people on their rights. Like, it is your right to be who you want to be. It is your right to be a woman. In feminism, it is in my community, in Kenya, for example, it is not taken positively. The only thing they say, an empowered woman will not get married, an empowered woman will not maintain a marriage, an empowered woman will divorce. In my community, for instance, there is no divorce. There's no way a woman can say, I don't want to live with my husband. It is not there. And I always tell men that tell me that I empower women to leave them. I said, no, I campaign for happy marriages. But seriously, when things are not okay, and there are so many signs, you will never be judged if we walk away, because at the end of the day, we've lost so many women in abusive marriages. So when we educate them on what they should stand on, they get the power and the ability to speak up fluently and fight for what is right. It is not easy. And then maybe how to increase our intersectional is to network. You look for networks from the internet, from the colleges, from workplaces. So we create a firewall of feminists who are willing to support each other, woman for woman, so that we advance our gender equality rights. So mostly it is to educate, it's to increase awareness and advocate, it's to lobby or to network. Yeah. When I formed Sauti Dada, I used to go to meetings and they ask you, who are you? And sometimes I could just say I'm a student or I just came here, I represent the church, which of course I am not a priest, I am not a nun. I used to be very afraid, because the moment you say I am a human rights defender, and I am here to fight for the representation of women and girls in this and this and this and this, people will look at you and start. So sometimes, honestly, I really wish I had a good job, for example, but of course I am never going to leave my girls in the village, because I come from a very poor background. My dad does not support us, so my mom is raising 8 kids, and in Kenya it is very hard to find a job. My career, for example, the media industry, it is most corrupt. To get job is very hard. So sometimes my mom I really help my mom where I can. But sometimes she's like, but you went to school and you're just coming back here to tell people to do this and do this. So please get a job. So sometimes it is hard. But for women, feminists, that was just out of the way. For feminists, we create a network which is very strong, and we support each other. So maybe I have answered properly. Yeah.
So the next question is from Alejandro Martinez. He's asking, how can we support Sauti Dada? And I was
amazing.
I was just about to send the message that help Sauti Dada Africa. There's this the crowdfunding in the GoFundMe, so I'm gonna post it in the chat, and you can also tell us many more ways to help Sauti Dada Africa. So
go
ahead.
Okay, like I mentioned before we started, Sauti Dada Africa, like it's an organization that we only have volunteers. I cannot afford to employ someone. I've been volunteering to myself, and there is always a challenge of getting funds from the government and non-governmental organization, because we are the grassroots. We are a community-based organization. So most of the time I write proposals, I really don't get, because people don't know we are not big organization. We are not the big fish. So I would really call for your support. Anybody who wants to become friend of Sauti Dada, we can form our network or our group where I need a lot of, for managerial work, for example, because I need to sit down and make advance so that the organization can grow. I will need some advices, some consultancy, but above all, we would really request for anybody who is willing to donate for the girls in Sauti Dada, because I have so many girls that I want to rescue, but I don't have a rescue home. My family, like I said, we live in a very not good house, because we cannot accommodate so many people, maybe just in case of emergency. So sometimes you just look at a girl, you take her to another family, but they come and take her. So we need a lot of monetary support. If you can help lobby for more people to join, like your friends, to help us contribute some money for Sauti Dada Africa. At least this time round, because of the operations, the military operation, we don't know how our girls are. But my future plan is to maybe construct a very good home that will be our girls' center, where girls can run to for safety. They can get food, sanitary towel, and maybe go to a nearby school, because when they are at their home, sometimes they are not very safe. So how to help Sauti Dada, you are welcome. Maybe for those who are technicians, they can help us advance in our social media campaigns, like form a website. Like I don't have a website, for example. So anybody who is willing to help Sauti Dada, we will always be in contact and we can form our network from University of Iberoamericana. So I have answered that question.
Yes.
Thank
Paula
you.
Montiel is asking, for someone who is just starting to get involved, how do you stay motivated in a world full of negativity?
It is very, very stressful. Very. At some point, I was literally losing my mind. I am fighting inequality from my home. My little brother told me, "You are a very old woman, get out of this family, get married. I am tired of being asked with men in the marketplace." To be honest, I don't have an appropriate answer to that, but I think because I live with these problems, they have affected me mentally. Sometimes I cry a lot. I feel because my sisters are not safe, my friends' sisters are not safe. Not all women are safe, but I will try. I would really, really try. The point here is I might fall down, but I really need to stand up and dust off and try. Even I always say, even when I can rescue one girl, even one out of 100, it's my joy. So it is just my passion. I have gone personally. I didn't talk about this, but I have gone through a lot of gender inequalities, or I have been abused very badly, and this happens to me. It happens to my mom. It happened to my sisters and to my friends and to my cousins, and it is always a nightmare. So I always say, I know where the shoe pinches. I know where it is painful. I just try. You just try.
Of course. You are very strong, Lily. You are really an inspiration. Sandra Gabriela, she's saying, more than a question, I want to congratulate you. It is an honor to listen to you, to see your example of an empowered woman. Thank you for being the voice of many women. You are a great example of life and fight for women's rights. Paola is asking, how do you deal with the difficulty of the contradiction of following your ideals at the same time that you respect your community and their current values and ideas? Thank you very much for the conference. You are a very inspiring woman.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I was to share some of the problems affecting women in Kenya, just briefly. But maybe I stopped midway, but there are a lot of challenges that I go through, a lot of challenges. You see, this community, like I said, it's conservative in nature, and sometimes I've been forced to maybe run from my mom's home to where I stay. I rented a small room in our town. But the sad part is that the people who fight me are the people who I expect them to support me, you know. I am never safe from my community's member who basically think that educating a girl will not give them chance to marry this girl. So it is very hard. Sometimes there are days about in Sauti Dada Africa, we don't do anything for 3 months for my safety. And that time men take advantage, which is very wrong. I have also on several occasions endured insult from men who accuse me of inciting women to disobey their husbands. which is very wrong. I will never tell a woman to not to respect their husband. But at some point, women just need to know their rights. FGM has purposely been carried out, is always carried out to prepare a girl for marriage. And the family receive many livestock for dowry. So me stopping them from getting cut, that means I am disadvantaging the learned, the girl's family, because they will not get cows, and the other family. But look here, seriously, my esteemed ladies and gentlemen, because when I went to school, I studied art, I got here. And at the moment, I helped my mom in paying school fees for my sisters who maybe would have dropped out of school. And I also help my mom when she's sick, and even when she's has some problem. When I go for conferences, they pay me. I also support my brother because they're in university, 2 of them. So I always tell my mom to tell their friends, talk to the women and tell them the goodness that you receive from me so that they can change. So that is why FGM, fighting it, it's very hard. There's always the negative attitude towards human rights defenders in Kenya by the government itself. They think we can talk bad about it. There are 2 types of human rights defenders. There are the activists who are radical. They do things. But myself, I always call myself active non-violence. I love peace very much, because I have seen people died from lack of peace. So, but every time you introduce yourself as a human rights defender, they think you are not a good person. There was, during Corona period, we lost so many girls. I personally went to bed without food for so many times also. And the school used to be safe places for our girls, because we can hide girls in the schools. But this time around, the schools were closed, the churches were closed, there were no activities in Sauti Dada. So what happened is girls ended up getting cut, getting married, and also they got pregnant. In my primary school, we have 31 girls in class, in the candidate who will be sitting for their last exam in primary school. But 9 of them got pregnant. They were 2 were married forcefully. So that is a great loss. But maybe when the schools were open, we could have known. This week, Janet is not in school. I would always go look for Janet. But because of COVID, we were always home. They don't have phones. I couldn't track them. It is so painful and sad. The other stumbling block to our work, or to my work, the challenges I face also, is high illiteracy level. To explain to someone who has never stepped to school about human rights, it is very hard. They are very traditional. Now, the negative perceptions toward women. The fact that I am not married and I do not have children has caused a prejudged notion to most of the community members. If it is not for the good work that is done by some missionaries from Mexico, the sisters who came to my village are Mexican. They are the only women who have changed my community. So every time I use them as an example, that please look at what the nuns did to us. But they still have the negative perception toward women, which I cannot change in a day. Now, I always go for the rescue missions, which means you have to go and get this girl. It is very traumatic to me in 2020 during Corona period in August, I had to go and rescue 3 girls who were sexually abused by very old men. And I have never forgotten that pain. A 9-year-old, a 15-year-old girl, and a 13-year-old girl who was married. It was very, very, very traumatic to me. I try to forget it, but it is not easy. One of the culprits, we managed to arrest one of the culprits. We only have one police station in the entire constituency, which is very big and vast. But when I didn't also want to be in the forefront. So I go to the police, I say, this is the man, of course, take him to court. But the chief will come and say, no, the men have settled this. So no justice. And the only thing they start saying is, why was that young girl out at 9 a.m.? This young girl was looking after the goats. This same young girl, I took her to the rescue center. She depends on me entirely. And for 2 good months, because we had to take her to the hospital, she was she was completely hurt. So many things for the doctor's note, something called, oh my goodness, what is it called? But basically all her private part was completely destroyed somehow. And nobody was there to support me. Like, I didn't even have money that time. And I used to cry to the doctor. And the doctors the local nurse said, no, why do you care so much about women? Their body parts will heal themselves. And I'm like, sure, this girl is only 9 years old. She's very young. But luckily, I have not seen her now for the months that I've been away. But I'm so happy that this time around she can walk properly, not really properly, but I managed to save her. But the culprit is walking free, you know. But again, I can't go to the community and say this man is a rapist, because the next thing they will harm me. Sometimes the police want a lot of bribery. Sometimes, but for this one, they really helped me, but it didn't work out. The other 2 men were not arrested. They are free also. So some challenges. And then the other one, because of, I couldn't pay rent for the office where I was renting. So girls could run to the office and you can assist them. So I was evicted from the office. So we don't have an office currently, and hopefully soon, maybe, or very soon, we are going to have one. Basically, all this has been even worsened by the insecurity in the region. Miranda might explain to you this, but I am currently not at my home. I cannot even call my people back at home because the insecurity that is ongoing, people are killing each other. They killed some police officers, and now, which is very wrong. And now the government has to come and take the illegal arms from people. But now this means everybody has to run for their safety. The children are not in school. So this is like Corona on top of Corona. Corona didn't get to my village, but at some point, by the way, because I keep going all places, I remember back in June, July, where I used to stay, my landlady said, you keep going all places, you might bring Corona to the village, to where we stay. And people started saying, Lily goes so many places and she has Corona. And because that time I was volunteering with World Vision, I had to go to the offices and say, everybody is saying that I have Corona, and I was doing some work I was donating sanitary towels, and they had to test me, and I had to even show my landlady that I am Corona free, please don't. It was hard. Then I was like, so there's Corona, there's the real Corona, then there's Corona anyway. But all said and done, the hardest part of the challenges I face now is the financial constraint. I have a lot of things that I need to do, but I have to get money to support it. So today, humbly, I would request you in a very special way that whoever is willing to donate. I've been surviving from Professor Elsa has really helped me. Last time that we had a talk with some friends that Miranda mobilized, and they sent some money to me, and I was so happy because my sister managed to go back to school. I got very sick sometime and I had to be transferred to a very far hospital, and the problem is not yet even solved, but that particular moment, the money they sent to me is what helped me. So I am totally indebted to you. So thank you very much.
Lily, we have more questions. So
yes,
let's go with the next one. This is from Natalie. What is the process that you follow to make people understand why FGM is not a positive thing when they have been educated to believe that it is normal or good? What are some of the things you say to these people?
Oh, some of the things I say to these people. One, I am a living example. Personally, I always say me as Lily, I am a book you can read from me. I was not cut. I went to school, and I am now somebody in my community. In as much as they cannot give me a leadership position, but I have helped so many, because they say when you educate a woman, you educate the whole nation. So me being a good example to them. And then some of the platforms that I've been using, I started doing something called community dialogues. Mm-hmm. We have villages, like maybe in Mexico, you have estates or homes, but now in the communities, I go and sit down. We schedule with the area chief, and then we organize and talk to them, because we want to change a small number of people who can go change other people. And then the other thing that I have been using so many times, and I'm so proud of this also, is I am a trained journalist and I worked in the radio. So there was a vernacular radio station that I volunteered in. Unfortunately, things happened. They never employed me, and I had to quit radio. But I go to that radio and I talk to people. So I do a lot of radio talk show campaign. And I tell you, okay, although I pay some money to the radio station, but the radio, this is a new radio station which is vernacular, and so many people are now using radios in my community. And every time I go to places and I introduce myself as, my name is Lily, and they're like, were you the girl who was talking in the radio last night? I said, yeah. Then we loved what you talked about. So at least before I meet them face to face, I meet them through the electronics. So I really look, if we raise some money, some of the campaigns that we are going to do is the radio talk shows, because it gets to so many people at a very particular time, and we use vernacular language. So there is, and then if it were not for the insecurity, and if we get some money also, is I want to start something called anti-FGM clubs in our schools. Yeah, so I've been doing the mentorship, but this time around we want to brand it. It is anti-FGM, because I realized during COVID, most girls ended up getting cut. And when I talked to some of these girls, oh, what's happened, Gladys? And she said, I didn't know where to go to. And I'm like, I've been teaching this all. And she said, I have never had it because I've not been attending the seminars. So the anti-FGM clubs will be a forum where girls can interact themselves, and I go there and we teach ourselves on what the law says on FGM, because in Kenya, FGM was declared illegal in 2011, and the president is committing himself that he wants to end female genital mutilation by 2022, which is just next year. So there are some laws which were stipulated, and I said, so in the clubs, girls will be talking to themselves, and then the same girls, when they go to the villages, they become our messengers.
Yes.
And then the last one, which is very important. Yeah. The last one, which is very important and we still have to be doing, it's the alternative rite of passage training. So that when girls are asked, you are not cut like myself, I tell people, yes, I am very much cut. I was cut in 2009, but they mutilated my brain, not my body. So the trainings, we have a lot of topics that we teach for the whole week so that girls know what they do. And then we teach them on adolescence, education, career-wise, sexual reproductive health, all these things. So those are some of the major tools that we use for advocating for end FGM campaigns. So now, like sometimes when we get money, we print some t-shirts and wristbands for the girls so that they can read. Maybe in the future we'll put big posters and say no to FGM now, maybe in Pokot or in Swahili, small by small, but the message really needs to get home.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maria Clarisa and Eduardo are asking like the same question, so I am only going to read one, but it is how can a man support feminism and unfair practices against women? What advice would you give men to join the fight against for gender equality?
Yeah, okay. Their mentality. We need to change the mentality. Men are very supportive. I have worked with some men and I have seen men change mountains. One, most men are by nature listened to. They have the platform. Not even the platform. If I stand next to a man who is very energetic and well built, and I speak and he speaks, if I'm speaking to someone, like even just giving a polite request, they will first tend to listen to the man, because male chauvinism is rooted in nearly everywhere. So let us tell our men the best that we can, our boyfriend, our husband, our brothers, our male friends, our colleagues. We try explain to them that we know we are not fighting to be above you. But when we talk about gender inequality, we say this because at one point, when we say women should be treated fairly and equally, it is because one day, maybe you being a man, you have a mother, you have a sister, you have cousin sister, you have aunties. One day you will get a wife. She's a woman. Your wife might get birth to babies. These babies can either be male or female. Yeah, treat these girls. You will expect the community, the way you expect the community to treat women right now will determine how your girl and your wife and your sister and your mother will be treated in the same community. The same respect we have for men, let us also have the same respect to women. I go to forums and before I speak, I say, excuse me, gentlemen, I am the only female here. So, allow me call myself alpha female. Because if I say I'm an alpha female, I give men like the superiority. I know you are superior, but please allow me say this. I am not comparing myself. I want to be superior like you, but we are all in this to win together. So we don't just tell them one day we want the president to be a woman, I want the vice president to be a woman. No, if you are all in leadership as women, we cannot perform. But if you are all balanced, we can go together. Because we're not the same. So we ask our men sweetly. I don't know, but this is really a joke in my community. When they want to, when something need to happen, there are only very few occurrences when women can be listened to. So we tell women, go and tell your husband this. Maybe when you're just the two of you, you know where you meet. convince them. And surprisingly, this one has worked. And the man will say tomorrow, you know, this woman just timed that particular time when she knew I was weak, and I have to do this because she requested me. So in all our forums, we are not advocating to be above men, but we advocate for equal gender equality, gender roles, which are equal. I hope I have answered him well. And then the few men who have, I know of men who have supported our work in Kenya so much, but of course they are in Nairobi and Nakuru, the big cities. But I know how these men mobilize other men to come and support us. So maybe we mobilize that. Just like I said, we create a network of women network. Men should also convince their brothers, their male cousins, to also support us, because we are all striving for one just community.
Lily, I think we're running out of time, but I think I'm gonna send you all of these messages and questions, and
yes,
I would request you to answer them, and then I will get all of the answers to all of these people so that they can have answer to their questions. And right now, we want to show you the acknowledgement the Ibero-American University is going to give you for...
Wow.
Yes.
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 Thank you very much for your amazing story, for your life, for sharing this opportunity with us. And on behalf of the Universidad Iberoamericana, grant you this recognition to Lili Koskei for the great participation in the conference Recordando el 8M on March 8, 2021. A nombre de la Sociedad de Estudiantes de Administración de la Hospitalidad, el Departamento de Estudios Empresariales y el Departamento de Psicología, damos las gracias por su participación a nuestra ponente Noeli Lilian Koskei, a quien haremos la entrega de forma electrónica de un reconocimiento a nombre de la Universidad Iberoamericana. La verdad nos hará libres y creo que es un gran ejemplo de cómo todos podemos hacer cambios a partir de nuestra realidad y con nuestras habilidades. El presidente de reconocimiento está firmado por la coordinadora de la licenciatura de Administración de la Hospitalidad, la maestra Yanira Chávez Orozco, y les damos un gran agradecimiento por haber asistido a la conferencia del día de hoy, por escuchar este testimonio. Creemos que es una historia muy importante que compartir, ya que es una situación en la que vivimos todos a nuestra manera, y es importante reconocer cómo nosotros desde nuestra posición, nuestro privilegio, podemos compartir con los demás. Y como bien mencionaba Lili, la información y el conocimiento es la mayor herramienta que puede tener una mujer para poder enfrentarse a estas situaciones. Como bien habíamos compartido anteriormente, podemos ayudar a la Fundación de Lili. Es 100% voluntario. Les comparto cómo se ve la página del link que les mandamos para que la vean, la reconozcan. Todo esto se va directamente a ella y pues esta es una plataforma que queremos usar para poder brindar este espacio, ¿no? También los queremos invitar a, por medio del chat, les vamos a compartir una encuesta. Queremos saber qué piensan de esta conferencia, qué otros tipos de temas les interesan, y ahí también vienen algunos datos. La conferencia se está grabando y la vamos a subir a nuestras redes sociales. Nos pueden encontrar en Instagram como PJM Hospitalidad, y también por ahí estaremos contestando las preguntas de Lili que quedaron en el chat para cualquier otra duda que tengan. Les agradecemos.
Since this conference was being recorded, we are going to upload it to our YouTube channel. And there more people can get to see you and listen to your story. And also we will be posting there the answers for the questions that were not being answered due to timing. So we're gonna be sending all of this to you. And in the course of the day, I hope we can upload the video as well as the answers. And I'm very happy and thankful for you and for everybody who assisted to this conference. It is such an honor. And I think the most important thing right now is to get together from women to women, and to be helping each other across the world, because we have all of the technological capacity to be being here. I mean, you are in Kenya, we are in Mexico, there's people all around the world attending this conference. There is actually a girl from France who I have classes with her, and she listened to your conference and she's very thankful as well. She actually sent you a message. So yeah, this is an international event, so I am very happy, I am very thankful, and I hope everybody enjoyed it as much as I did.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I want to pass my gratitude to the organizers. Professor Elsa came to my village 16 years ago, and I didn't have her address, but luckily because of Facebook, we met again. So I am very grateful to the University Council, everybody who prepared this, and to Elsa, and to everybody who listened to me today. And just to let you know again, amongst in the participants, there's a very special woman who I am very happy that she attended. She listened to me. She's called Sister Maria Elena. Malena was in my community before I was born. And thank you so much, Sister Maria Elena, because you listened to this. And I am the product of the work that you brought to Pokot many years ago. If I ever come to Mexico, I would be so happy to meet Sister Malena again. Thank you, everybody. My parting shot before we finish. We are all powerful human beings. We are very smart. We are all special. Our bodies or our genders should not limit our greatness. In whatever we do, there are so many challenges that we go through, but when we always say service to humanity is service to God. So the little that you can do, you help so many people. And then your biggest legacy will not be the construction of big roads, construction of big cities, but it is by empowering and creating a bigger space for all women and men in the world. They tell us in Kiswahili, tenda wema nenda zako, which means just do your good and live, because the goodness will one day definitely follow you. Thank you for this chance. I am greatly indebted. Sometimes it gets so hard, you cry, you feel sad, but on this particular day of International Women's Day, let us celebrate ourselves. Let us cheer ourselves. Women for women, men for women. And we celebrate today because in the next future, we will look back and be proud of what we fought for and what we advocated for. Thank you, everybody. Every one of you deserves a chance. Every one of you can make a change, because together we can. United we stand, departed we fall. So all pleasure was mine. I look forward to interact with some of you. Miranda can share I will share my number and my email. You can reach me in case of any other thing. You are free to talk to me. And happy International Women's Day 2021. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're amazing.
Thank you very
Thank you
so
Bye.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you much.
Thank you too.
Gracias.
Gracias.
You're
too.
amazing, Lili.
Gracias a Dios.
See you again.
Adios.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you too.